And joining me now is the counselor to the president-elect and his former campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway. Kellyanne, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Well, thank you, Chuck.
I want to start with one part of President-elect's statement from Friday after the briefing he received from the intelligence community on the Russia question. What wasn't in there? And that is this idea: does the president-elect accept the conclusions of the reports and of the findings that he received on Friday?
Well, read the whole statement and you'll see. He says that Russia and China and others have tried to hack. That's not new. We know under President Obama, we've had hacks of the Department of Defense, Department of State, OPM, 21 million records of private citizens. Chuck, very concerning, with very little punishment, certainly nothing of the magnitude of expelling Russian operatives and making all these pronouncements and punishments before the report was even completed. But look at what the president-elect also said in his statement, Chuck. I think this is important in moving forward in a progress-minded fashion. He said that within the first 90 days of his presidency, he will ask his own team to do something and put together a more robust and more serious plan to beef up our cybersecurity. I mean, the one thing all Americans should be very concerned about in reading this report, the nut of which is really just 5 pages, the main part, is that we are woefully unprepared for cybersecurity in the 21st century in 2017. And that's why you have these hacks. And we see all of these hacks that nobody got exercised about when our Department of Defense, Department of State, State Department, certainly the White House itself, OPM, other government agencies were in fact hacked.
There seems to be a bit of a conflation here. I want to go specifically to the Russia question, because this report was more than just about the hack. It concluded that Russia's intent was to disrupt our democracy and, frankly, to try to embarrass us on the world stage and embarrass our democracy. So setting aside the cyber issue, because I think you have universal agreement there that we got to get better on the cyber front. About Russia specifically, does he accept the conclusion that Russia had a campaign to disrupt and interfere with the American democracy?
Look, we don't want any foreign government to interfere in the U.S. This man, Donald Trump, ran successfully on America first, and he means it in every respect of the term, Chuck. In terms of Russia, if the report says that they attempted, I read even the New York Times stories are saying they aspired to and they attempted, they did not succeed. They did not succeed in embarrassing this country on the world stage. They did not succeed in throwing the election to Donald Trump. That's very clear in this report, and I don't want your viewers to be left with any other impression. Read the New York Times outtakes, read other Washington Post, read the report itself. There is no evidence that Russia succeeded in any alleged attempt to disrupt our democracy or, in fact, to influence the election results. And respectfully, many in the mainstream media also tried to attempt to influence our election results for Hillary Clinton. They, too, failed.
Wait a minute. Let's not conflate here the crutch of trying to always attack the media here. I want to go back to the specific question. Look, I want to go back to the specific question of Russia here. I understand what you're just saying, but there are a lot of people, including John McCain and Lindsey Graham, who believe major retaliation is needed against Russia, that this is bigger than just conflating it with what's going on with China and other bad actors who have tried to steal information, that this is something bigger. Do you accept that? Does the president-elect accept that premise?
Well, you're asking a different question now. You're asking about punishment and retaliation. That is something that the president-elect, when he is sworn in less than 2 weeks, Chuck, will have to decide along with his security and intelligence team. That's most appropriate. I do think some people are scratching their heads as to why President Obama took action and punished Russia and Russian operatives before the report was completed, before others had the information. You know, your own NBC apparently received the information before the president elected. I hope you agree with President-elect Trump that that's not really the best way, the best course of action, the best sequence of events. We think that a network respectfully should not receive information before the president or the president-elect does. And he, of course, has called for investigations by the House Intelligence Committee and the Senate Intelligence Committee. He's called on those two chairmen to investigate the source of the information.
Can I pause you there?
And
I have to say that is a chilling.
On Friday, Josh Earnest also dodged the question as to whether the administration was the source of the leak. Very concerning.
With all due respect, what's chilling there is this idea that if reporters doing their job finding out information is somehow going to come under a congressional investigation?
No, we're not upset. It's not the reporters we're upset with, it's the leaking. No, good for your reporters for, as you say, doing their job. But why are people who possess classified or intelligence information, Chuck, providing that information? Your reporters can hit a brick wall in the interest of intelligence and security, but those who are running around frothing at the mouth saying we're so worried about intelligence, we're so worried about security, then leaking to a network ahead of the president-elect and other officials, perhaps the Senate intelligence receiving the information, we simply can't have that. And I hope you support an investigation, because we just can't have leaks of national security intelligence information. The other thing I just want to say about Senator McCain is I also saw in that hearing, he very specifically stated that there is not evidence that Russia succeeded in any alleged attempt to swing the election results. He said very clearly Donald Trump was elected president of the United States. That's not what this is about.
That is not what the investigation has been about. The investigation has been about Russia's attempt to disrupt the democracy, Russia's attempt to get and sowing the seeds of discord. Do you think the fact that there is all this blurry lines, that there's all this back and forth, some would argue that they have succeeded because there is all this argument left and right about Russia's role?
They did not succeed because the election results were fair and square. They've been certified as of Friday yet again. Donald Trump is the president. It wasn't a squeaker. He got 36 more electoral votes than he needed originally. He won 31 of 50 states, 2,600 counties. He flipped 200 Obama counties. They're now Trump counties. The list goes on and on. He won states that Republicans hadn't won for years. And why is that important? It's important for a very simple reason. They did not succeed. You know, in NBC News' own polling, Chuck, Hillary Clinton, for a year before her spectacular loss to Donald Trump, a majority of Americans said they didn't like her, and 2/3 of Americans said that they didn't trust her, didn't find her to be honest. So all of that sowed the seeds for her defeat, for them not understanding America the way Donald J. Trump and Mike Pence understood America. And that's important because the question is, did any alleged attempt succeed? Even outlets that are more in favor of Hillary Clinton and really were pushing for her election, particularly print outlets, are admitting today and this weekend, Chuck, after this intelligence briefing on Friday, that they aspired and they attempted, but nobody is saying they succeeded unless they're pundits and they want to mislead their viewers or their readers. Nobody is saying Russia succeeded.
Yesterday morning, President-elect tweeted that only stupid people essentially wouldn't want to have better relations with Russia. Can you simultaneously right now, does the president-elect believe he can both punish Russia for what they attempted to do to our democracy and try to have good relations at the same time? Or has he basically got to pick which path he's going to take when he takes office?
No, he doesn't need to do that. There's no reason to do that. It really depends on the issue. So, for example, if Russia wants to join with the United States and get tougher on defeating and eradicating ISIS, which has not been taken as seriously as many Americans have wanted. That's very clear in the data. Then yes, we welcome any number of actors who are going to get serious with the United States of America and help execute Donald Trump's plan as president to crack down on radical Islamic terrorism, which is not the JV
But he still wants. But Kellyanne, let me go back to the initial question that I asked you. He wants to pursue better relations with Russia, even staring at this report that says Russia was trying to disrupt our democracy. Does he believe he can do both?
He has said yes. In other words, it really depends on the issue.
So he will punish Russia on this? He does plan to punish Russia on this?
No, I didn't say that. I told you earlier, and I'll repeat it now. He's not the president yet. All of you insist one president at a time, so okay, one president at a time. When he becomes president after January 20th and he meets with his security and intelligence team, he, as President Trump, will make a decision on what to do in many different areas of the world. Chuck, I mean, there's so much to do. There's so much unfinished business here and abroad that he is inheriting, and Russia is one piece of that. But there's just so much. The Russian reset did not work. We know what he's not going to do. He's not going to pull this stunt with some goofy gadget that Hillary Clinton presented to the Russians for a Russia reset. That didn't work. It didn't work in Syria. Yemen's a mess. I mean, the world is a much more dangerous place, and he will, as president of the United States and commander-in-chief, will make those decisions once he's in office.
Kellyanne Conway, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks, as always, for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Chuck, thanks for having me.
You got it. Happy New Year.